Okay, we can now take all of the shots we've been working on and make one seamless animation. Let's talk about putting it all together. We've got a total of 4 shots. We have the combat idol, the 2-hand light attack, the 2-hand heavy attack, and finally, the 2-hand attack combo. How do we go about stitching these different shots together? We really have a lot of options available to us. We could just copy and paste the animation, but oftentimes that's problematic. We could use Maya's built-in Atom or Animation Transfer Object model, but it can often be difficult to work with. What I like to use in this situation is a third-party script called Studio Library, and I'll put a link to that in the description below. Okay, we're back in Maya now, and I've got the Studio Library tool open, and I think you can see I've got the 4 shots already put into the library, but I'll just do a quick walkthrough of this one again here. I've separated everything into the different characters I've used. This character is called Ugg, and if I right click, I can choose, among other things, a new animation. So when you do that, you want to make sure that you have something selected. You don't have to select everything if you only say want a leg animation or a center of gravity animation or whatever. In this case, I want everything. First thing I can do here, if I just left click right in this box, it's going to generate a thumbnail. You can see that right there. Automatically generates the thumbnail for this animation. And then we just give it a name. I'll call it test. It automatically, by default, you can change this, but by default gives you the frame range you have on the timeline. And you can put a comment in there if you like to, and then you save it. I paused the video there for just a few seconds so I could take this shot and really erase all of the animation. Here, I'll show you what I did. All the animation on our character is gone. The blocks are still there as they're coming up, but you can see as I scroll through the timeline, there is no animation on our character. So I'll return that to 0 on the timeline. And what you want to do is then select everything that you want applied. And I'm using a selection set here, so it's the same way that I did it when I copied the animation, and now I'm just going to paste it. So here we are with this test animation here. Everything is selected. I'm on frame 0, and if I hit apply, and now I can do that. If I scroll through this animation, I now have that heavy attack. So really, it's just then a matter of applying that to the other shots. Once we have it all together, kind of stitched, then we need to fix gimbal issues. Likely you'll have some kind of gimbal issues, and we're good to go. So the next thing is setting up a camera and some lights and making it look nice. Before we get into the camera and the lights, I just want to mention a couple other things. I've added a basic cyc wall here so we don't have to see background behind our character. And I've added these 4 columns in here, particularly for the combo shot where he's traveling forward. It's nice to have that frame of reference for the character that he's planted in the scene as he's moving past the columns. So beyond that, I've got a basic 3-point lighting system: key light, fill light, backlight. And let's see if I turn lighting on. So you can kind of see the basics idea there. And I set up a camera that I felt would work for this. And it's stationary to start, but then on the combo shot, it moves with the character keeping him in frame. So when it comes down to rendering this shot, I'll talk just a little bit about the 3 choices that I kind of looked at. I first looked at the Arnold render engine, which comes with Maya since 2017 here, which is what I'm using. I looked at the Maya software render engine, And I looked at what we have here, just our standard viewport 2.0 that we're using while we're animating, and I can use for play blasting and such. So if I go to render settings here and I pull up Arnold, Arnold can give you some really nice quality images. The trade-off that you have with Arnold is often it's a very long render time, and I'm going to end up with an image sequence, which means I'm going to eventually somehow have to stitch those together and create a movie file. Now, Maya software can also give you a very high quality image and generally is faster in render times, but you lose the ability for some things like geometry smoothing, for example. And I really kind of like that. If you notice in my cyc wall, I don't have a hard edge from the wall to the floor. It's a nice little curve, and I wouldn't be able to use that in Maya software. Also, I'll end up with an image sequence that again I'll have to stitch together to a movie file. Now, the third choice was actually just using the PlayBlast, which I think, as you can see, looks pretty nice. I'm an animator, and I feel like my reel should reflect that. While I want my finished product to look professional, I really don't need to show off my lighting or rendering skills, right? It comes down to return on investment. With Viewport 2.0, as we're seeing here, it's possible to make a PlayBlast that looks really good. I've got my shadows in there. I've got nice lighting. It looks great. So here we are once again with the finished product, and I'm quite happy with the result. So it's time to move on to the next shot. Thanks for watching.